I will do the presentation that we are writing together, but I hope that Petre and Henriette will answer the questions, maybe in French. So, we are going to present the shared experience gathered from field studies conducted by the migrant French team before moving on general consideration. The idea is try to go a little more in generalization than what we've done in the precedent years. Whether there is ultra-contemporary field work or other settlements on which we do historical research. We have used life stories, morphological analysis of Frenchy towns, social topography of Romanian settlements, and they're all completed by archival research. So, we have identified 3 different fields that could be studied from the standpoint of their historical constitution in Romania and in the contemporary migration in France. So, these are the Romani community of Balnaca in the Cristiana, the Bessarabia Roma in Tulcea, so in south of Romania, and finally the Rosario Roma of Segaccia in Dol Judet. So we have a look on the historical constitution of those people, and when then we took the same people and in the context of a migration site in France, in the shantytown around Paris. And we tried to have a more anthropological description of their life in Paris. So, the Tulcea Roma, the Bessarabia Roma from Tulcea live in a compact community in Saint-Denis. Those from Segaccia are living, they form a community composed of a number of shanty towns all around Paris. Those shanty towns are always in reconfiguration. Every day, the eviction, the new shanty towns, they form a quite structured community. And the Balnacas Roma are living in different sites around Paris in multi-ethnic Roma shanty towns. And one of these main shanty towns was the shanty town of the Samaritan, on which we have worked a lot. While we are trying to link historical constitution of communities and to the migration, our idea is try to understand if there is a relation between the historical continuity of a community from 50 years, one century, we are almost in this time framework, and the fact of living today in a compact community in a shanty town. Let's look on the 3 historical sites. The Tulcea Roma did not live in a compact community before World War II, and what we understand is it was a relational community based on ethnic origins with intermarriage, a shared practice of nomadization, and the same territory of origin. Maybe it's myth, it's a reality, but they all say we are coming from Bessarabia, we are coming from Russia. They are the same experience of deportation to Transnistria, and they were sedentarized after the World War II in a hog formed from a town of Brăila, Galați, Tulcea, and Constanța in the Dobroja region. They have lost a part of the community with the impact of fluctuation of borders between Romania, Ukraine, and Bulgaria. There are settlements in Romania, so Galați, Constanța, Tulcea, and Brăila are apparently scattered, which would suggest a sparsity of ties, but in fact, underlying ties are maintained by repeated marriages with the same families from different towns. And at the beginning of the 90s, we found Bessarabian Roma living in the same shanty towns in Paris from 90s to today. So they develop, as we see with a lot of Roma communities in Western Europe, double anchoring. But one of the interesting questions here is the community this community, quite homogeneous, quite easy to describe. This community common space, is it Saint-Denis or Romania? Because if you look better, you see that the people do not have many ties in Romania between the Roma from Bessarabian Roma from Galați and Bessarabian Roma from Turcia, for example. They do not see them today a lot in Romania. They see them together, each other in France. So it's for that France is very a stopping off place where no community ties develop. Just to have before going on another community, to have we are talking here about almost 200, 300 persons. So it's a very little community, very homogeneous. The situation of Roma from Balnaca in Crescena is diametrically opposite. A priori, their ties do not predate the war. They say they are from different villages or national groups. They say that they are Hungarian, Romanian, Slovakian Roma. We know that the regrouping of these Romani families in this village, in this Țigani, segregated quarter of the village, did not exist before the war. In the 50s, the Roma from all the Crescena came to live in Balnaca. They say to feed the collectivization. In reality, they themselves pressed into working in the silicate mine. So there was the mine here, and the Roma are coming from different villages, from different Roma groups to work in this mine. For example, Titi, a 72 years old man interviewed, tell us that his father lived in Halezd, which is a town quite near Balnaca, and he had a band, a music band, and played in local restaurants up to far away like Budapest. Titi too was playing in band when he was young, but after going to work in the mine, like the other person of Balnaca. It's how he arrived in this village. The other person from the village are coming from other Roma groups. For example, his son-in-law is Titi is Patrinar, his son-in-law is Lingurar, the wife of Titi is Shurar, and the mother of his son-in-law is Corturar. So you see, they're coming from different groups. We see from this example that the industrial prioritization was carried out under a double constraint, that of changing borders here between Romania and Hungary, which block any possibility of continuity to exercise an artistic activity from one side or other side of the border, and the social constraints that came from industrialization of Romania countryside. Even if the Roma from the Balnaca are part, despite of the fact the heterogeneity of origins, what we see is they are living in a compact community for years and years, from the beginning of the 50s up to the transition up to now, and develop intermarriage between the different Roma groups on 1, 2, and maybe 3 generations of intermarriage. At the beginning of the 80s, some of them remain in Balnaca, some of them went to Cluj, some of them went to Oradea, And when they began the migration in France, almost in 2005, as I said, the Roma of Balnaca live in multi-community shanty towns, where the bulk of the inhabitants came from Christiana region, but not only from Balnaca and not only from the Roma groups they were in contact in Romania. So here we can do several hypotheses. Perhaps we see in the migration reconfiguration very old ties in reconfiguration, reactivate at the moment of the migration. We can have another explication. That excuse me, I'm just lost. It's the fact that the relationships between the Roma of the region, of the big region, is not related only to the community, to the community as a network, but the network of interrelational relationships is bigger than the community. What I want to say about that is, for example, if you are coming from a Lingura family of the compact community of Balnaca and you're married with Chura wife, you can go to have relationships between the other Lingura families from in the other region or other Chura family from the region. So the compact community of Balnaca is just creating a kind of hub in which you can go to have interrelational inter-community relationship stronger than a simple community. And here we will see in the French shanty towns of Balnaca Roma people who do not have any relation with them. For example, the people from the plain, Hungarian Roma from the plain of Christiana. And what we think is here we are on the third level of way to be in relation is the territory as a business card. You want to go in Paris, you are in Paris, you are looking for a shanty town, a place to stay, and if you come in a place where the head of the place is coming from a Christiana, from Christiana too is easier to enter to the place, even if there's no network between you and the headman, than if you are coming from Bucharest, for example. So I just pass on the third field. What we did is with the Roma from Segarce and Sadova in the Judetul of Doge. So they are settled in the southeastern arc around Paris, in Chaplan, Massy, Orly. And the history of the community belongs to a specific place, the former farmlands of Crown domains between Segarce and Sadova, so in the southeast of the Judet. And we can easily see that those people are descended from gypsy slaves of the local monasteries. And when they're freeing from slave, they became salaried of the crown between the two world wars. And then salaried workers of the communist state farms who take the place of the crown farm. And this up to the transition period. So here the Interna, and during this different period in the archives, we found a collective work contract would take all the community. So we've got a contract on which we've got 100 persons under the same work contract. So here the interrelational homogeneity is maintained through the collective recruitment of Romani workers to labor brigades by Henman here in the document called Vataf. This practice established by the manager of Crown domain, you can find it too done by the director of community state farm. So here you've got a continuity in the way of work relation between communist work organization and Crown work organization. Between the two world war, the presence of several thousands of persons is attested in this community. So we are talking of a large community. They call themselves, and they are called in the archives document Ursar, and today they are called themselves or Ursar or Karimidar. And what we understand is this difference is more a social and class difference between two subgroups, but they continue of a bigger group. The consultation of document of contract document between the wars and the present day documents of present in the shantytowns of Ursar from Segarcha show that the people stay in intermarriage in the same groups. So you will see that the person who are married in the contract documents in the 1939, you will find the same name, and when you ask the people, you see it's the grandfather of the couple of today. So you see that the marriage are coming back generation after generation in a large community. At the beginning of the 90s, a lot of them, and most of them, migrate to Spain and a little bit in Italy. In the region of Valence, and most of them first work in agriculture, and in France arrive at the middle of the almost in 2007, just at this moment. And another thing interesting with this continuity is if you look who is the headman of the French shanty towns, you will find the same families that were the same family that was specialized as work chef in the between the two world wars. So you've got a specific specialization of some family in power position. Today we know that there are almost 1,500 persons of this community who is living around Paris. So there was a large community between the two wars, and there's a large community living in Judith of Dolge, and there's a large community of them living in Paris. And we know that the people of Paris are a little part of a bigger iceberg triangle between Spain, Italy, and France. Moving to more general level, on the basis of these three sites, several questions can be raised. The first idea is what we say is the three communities of which we are talking about are very different. We can say there is a heterogeneous composition of the groups, but we think is the problem is we think that the modeling of the concept of community itself that we have to understand that as heterogeneity. We can, when I say community in the different case, I'm not talking about the same thing. I'm not talking about a way of thinking the community. We can see that there are some communities in act, but the way to act the communities is not the same. The second point is historical death is absolutely necessary to constitute a community. But any idea of fixism must be avoided. Effectively speaking, the Roma of Tulsa is a community inherited of the community of 1930 that we see in the archives, but we can ask themselves if we have not scientifically modeled the community of 1930, because we know the contemporary community. There is a kind of reflection here between the two way of thinking, the historical and contemporary community. The Balnaca's Roma show that if you've got the time, it's possible to create a community. If we got 2-3 generations, a new community is coming from another one. But it's difficult to consolidate if you do not have the time. The Samaritans have lived for 10 years, but in the Samaritans we didn't see intermarriage, we didn't see a long communities coming. We only see accepted power relation, friends, but we didn't see intermarriage, for example. This is my last point. The policy question posed by the president of Chantitans in France, and with the idea of communities with recreating immigration. We observe the difficulty in France to find established new communities stemming from earlier Romanian communities. Something that has been made all but impossible by the ban on legal permanent settlements is because there's a systematic eviction policy that it's impossible to create new communities in France. Will be remodernization of past communities. So our question is, could there be tomorrow Romanian Roma communities in Paris, like there is some Yugoslavian Roma communities in Paris or Russian Roma communities in Paris? Or it's the very nature of the double anchorage of this migration of Romanian Roma that the French part remains less than the Romanian. Whatever the case, the Roma are trying to preserve the essential elements of their collective identity. And here too, you see very different way to think what is the essential thing you have to take with you in migration. For the Tulsa Roma, it seems that it's the endogamy into the group with the more important thing that they said that they want to preserve despite the migration. For the people from Christiana is to stay in a controlled far-flung network of inter-ethnic relation. And at least for the Roma from Segach and Sadova is to keep the labor structure that was before. Thank you very much.